Hi, my name is Rosamira Guillen. I am the Executive Director of Proyecto Tití, a nonprofit organization working in Colombia to protect the critically endangered cotton-top tamarin, very little monkeys about the size of a squirrel, which are threatened severely due to mostly extensive deforestation of the tropical dry forest that is home for this unique little monkey, and for their capture for the pet trade. Proyecto Tití has been working for 30 years already, since its founder, Dr. Ann Savage, came to Colombia to study this monkey in the wild. And since then, it's been growing, especially over the last 10 years. Proyecto Tití started mostly as a field research program, studying behavior, ecology, reproduction, different things about this little monkey in the wild. But then when, as the project moved forward, it learned about the big threats, and then it had to incorporate all other strategies besides research. I joined Proyecto Tití 15 years ago to help push the project forward in partnership with Dr. Ann Savage, and to get people to know what we were doing so quietly for so long, and of course to reduce threats and increase attention to this critically endangered species. So our project has 4 main pillars: field research, forest protection and restoration and conservation, and connectivity as well. And then the human side of the project, which is environmental education in the young kids in the rural schools close to the forest, as well as working with the adults to increase or to offer income alternatives for them to reduce the use and exploitation of forest resources. Our main challenge has been, for one side, our audiences not having any idea of how unique this monkey is, because it's only found in this very little corner of northern Colombia, nowhere else in Colombia or the world. So getting attention, was a first objective, but then after that is getting people involved in their conservation. We started our first strategic plan in 2013 and decided to use the Open Standards for a 5-year period. And we were able to design some objectives and some goals for this 5-year period. Once we had our 5-year plan outlined and our conceptual model, our results chains, goals, objectives, indicators, we were ready to go. But we had been advised that adaptive management was needed as we move forward in the implementation of our plan. And we were aware of the demands of reviewing and following up on each step of the process during this period. And so as the executive director, I was truly committed to this, but I was also aware that the time to spend on reviewing this, it is very demanding. So we decided to do every 6 months, and it kind of fitted very well with our needs to report to our major donors. And so we decided to do that, and we were lucky enough to have this continued mentorship once a year, bring our advisor to work with us, with our team, and review each one of the steps in the process. So we kind of found a good middle ground into reviewing every 6 months and doing adaptive management once a year. It wasn't anything we planned like that. It was kind of set up a little organically along the way, but it turned out working out well for us. And it was also good that we started as a small team. We were 5 people. 3 of us were participating in the design of the strategic plan. But then as we were achieving our objectives, we grew quite significantly. And then now we're a 28 people team. And by the end of those 5 years, we were able to involve more people in the planning process and on each one of the sessions of the adaptive management. And these are the people that are in the field, that are implementing the programs, doing the research with the monkeys, educating the kids in the schools, working with the locals to increase, or to reduce the threats. So they had very valuable feedback. And that's when we realized that we were a little ambitious on, and maybe a little unrealistic on the establishment of the indicators, some of the indicators and some of the goals. Because some of these that we had set, it was almost impossible to measure with the tools and the staff we had available. So I think that was like the first big learning in the process, and in understanding too that it requires a lot of commitment from the management team, from the directive team, and from the team in the field. So we prepare our yearly meetings now that we have a pattern and it's been successful and productive for us. What we do is, I personally, as the executive director, review every 6 months the Marathi, or our strategic plan, and fill out the updates on each one of the activities and the results and the strategies and the goals and the objectives. And then before we have our annual adaptive management meeting, I do the same. So basically, if there's anything to be adjusted or reviewed or discussed with the team at that mid-year meeting, we do, and we take notes and make sure that we bring all of those comments to the yearly adaptive management. So for the process, we try to have the updates or the progress reports before the meeting, and we share them with the team, and we ask the team to bring their ideas and their notes to be shared in a group and with our advisor, and make sure that we tackle every difficulty or accomplishment or questions that we have, so we can then incorporate that in the following year of the strategic plan. Once again, it's been very valuable, and me personally, who has been involved since the beginning of the first 5-year period and now into a second 5-year period, I can see how much more valuable these meetings are, these yearly adaptive management meetings, now that we have participation of more people in the field. We have participation of our financial and managing staff. We have participation of our marketing staff, and of course, somebody that facilitates the process and that facilitates those discussions that sometimes you get into a circle where you don't come out, and an outside vision we think is very, very important to kind of break that cycle and to provide us with ideas of other projects around the world that are similar to us, and ideas or references that we can read, that we can discuss, and it's been very valuable. And once again, the most important challenge I would or I have identified through this process is indicators, just realistic indicators. You kind of dream that you had tools, time, staff, and resources, money, to do these in-depth studies that prove the impact or the challenges that you're having to accomplish your mission. But for a nonprofit organization, that is always a challenge. So I would be sure to say that our most important learning, besides valuing participation of the team in the adaptive management process, and then more realistic indicators would be to bring down to earth things that we can really do with the resources we have, and make sure that can be studied or reviewed, or that can feed our impact analysis every time we need to. Because one thing we have found on our fundraising, which is under my leadership at Proyecto Tití, is that donors and supporters and grants are more and more demanding of you having evidence of the impact that you're having, especially if there's social programs like our education programs, and more than anything, our community programs. And so we can say that we're impacting the forest if we show more hectares protected, or if we know there are more monkeys now that we have more forests protected. But certifying or stating that people have changed attitudes, that's a wider challenge. So in this second process, we used that learned lesson and established ways that our staff and our resources can measure and that can serve as showing that we are having an impact. I would say that had been our most important challenge, and hopefully we, through this process, we will be able to overcome. Another challenge I would say is that we have all these different programs I mentioned before, and that require people from different disciplines. So we have biologists that are in our team, field biologists. We have advisors that help us process this information and make publications. We have now gotten into forest restoration and have a big team of assistants, field assistants, and field biologists. We have educators. We have biologists that are educators. We have administrative staff. We have marketing staff, and everybody sees things different. Some of these processes are so dense and so hard to understand that you really have to make sure that at least everybody understands the end goal. What is it that we're trying to do? And that they identify themselves with the results chain they are contributing to with their work. So our field, our education assistants, for instance, they give the classes to the kids, take them into the forest, and they measure pre and post. But they need to know that this information is helping this attitude change. And if we educate well kids to not hunt cotton tops and have them as pets, when they become adults, they're going to be more sensitive individuals to this kind of topics. And thus, cotton tops will have a better chance to not be critically endangered. So the team needs to understand what part of the puzzle they are putting into the picture, so we have the full puzzle all completed, when we reach that point. You had expectations, I had expectations that everybody understand all the chains and all the goals and all of the indicators, but it's too much information. I feel comfortable because I've been through the whole process and I have the full perspective of what we do, but I have to be aware that our team, to the different levels of the organization, understand the final goal and what is it that they need to do to get there. That's good enough. So then I kind of also manage my expectations with the team, and we've gotten to a good point where everybody understands what we're trying to do and how we're going to do it. And make sure that everybody understands that this needs to be measured right from the beginning. So I better have a baseline, follow through, and then try to reach that objective. That has also been a very important lesson that we have learned in working with our full team. So I wanna invite all of you to learn more about the work we do. We have our website is proyectotití.com. We have our social media where we post all of our progress and things we do. It's at Proyecto Tití in Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And we have some very beautiful videos posted on our YouTube channel about the work, the integrated conservation model that we apply to all of our programs. And we invite you to learn about this. Something that we have as a policy in Proyecto Tití is that all of our learning and all of our experience, we hope that it can be used by other organizations of other people trying to do, things for wildlife and wild places all around the world. And if they can reduce the time they have to invest to learn these things, because we have already, then that's like our best situation. So if anybody wants to learn more about what we do and how we're doing it, we're more than happy to share more information than the one that is on, posted or published. We do have a lot of publications, scientific publications mostly, and we will be very happy to share anything else in the future.